Here in New Mexico, there is a great move toward cultures and faiths trying to do things together. It's for sharing the kind of spiritual life that New Mexico offers to people. Having come from the East Coast, it seems to me that there is a spiritual tradition infused in life here.
It's a beauty that requires some patience. It's a beauty that requires a sense of humility when you can see vast distances and you know that you're not the center of the universe.
Our people found God and God's presence in the wilderness, that God spoke to them in the wilderness. And many peoples have found God's presence in the vastness and the quiet and the stillness and the deep peace of the wilderness.
When they say harmony, you respect every living thing that's on earth, even the tiniest bug, great big animals. And when they say that, they mean not to harm anything in their path or abuse what was given to them by the great spirits.
There was a time when only Native Americans revered this land, living their lives in harmony with Mother Earth. Spanish settlers arrived in the 1600s, bringing with them their Catholic faith and a strong determination to convert the native peoples to Christianity. Americans came in the 19th century from the green hills of the East and saw New Mexico as a wild place which needed to be tamed and transformed. But in our time, people from many religions and cultures have learned to share northern New Mexico's beauty. Their motivations are practical and spiritual.
CBS presents Journeys of the Spirit, a special religious program about people of faith in northern New Mexico and the strength they draw from the land and from each other's traditions. The narrator is Ted Holmes.
The vast, rugged beauty of northern New Mexico has inspired people of every religious belief. Native Americans, Christians, Jews, Hindus, Buddhists, and many more find spiritual sustenance here, in the soil, in the rocks, in the mountains, in the sky. It's a personal awakening, but it cries out to be shared with others.
O thou kind Lord, unite all. Let the religions agree and make the nations one, so that they may each see each other as one family and the whole earth as one home. May they all live together in perfect harmony.
The enemy is anger. It creates sufferings, but whoever assiduously overcomes it finds happiness now and hereafter.
We celebrated the Interfaith Pilgrimage for Peace. And it was co-sponsored by the Archdiocese of Santa Fe and the Interfaith Council of Santa Fe. We had Jews, we had Muslims, Hindus, Buddhists, Baha'is, Christians, praying together for peace, singing together, laughing together, dancing together.
When Deacon John asked me to come and do a prayer, I thought, well, the easiest thing to do is to chant, and Hinduism is full of chants. Unfortunately, I have a terrible voice. So I was saved. My mother's here. She chants very well.
In the old days, the very ancient mantra, this is only the privilege of men to recite this. Women were not allowed. That was a misunderstanding of the scriptures. We worship the sun, which shines equally over all mankind, whatever color, faith, or belief system. Om Bhurbhuva Swaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhyo Yom Naha Prachodayat.
In Hinduism, we consider everything has a life. down from rock to plants, and taking any life is considered not sacred. The sun is an important deity, so to speak, among the Hindu pantheon. And like she said, it is the giver of life. And it is, without sunlight, what would we do?
The Aztec dancers, they used the power of their dancing and their chanting and the blowing of their conches to awaken people's hearts to really connect to the earth and feel our oneness with each other and our connection with our planet. They believe in the power of nature as each aspect of nature being a living entity. In Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism, we believe that there is a spark of life in every living thing, which is very similar to a Native American belief. We've had many cultural traditions weaving together for hundreds of years in northern New Mexico. We have a very strong Native American presence, we have a very strong Hispanic presence, we have a strong Jewish presence dating back to the Spanish Inquisition, and of course a strong Anglo presence.
We are definitely the new kids on the block, spiritually, because people have been praying in this land for a very long time. The Spanish Catholic Church has been here for 500 years. Long before that, both the Pueblo and the Navajos were here for hundreds of years. And before them, you can still see the ruins of both the Anasazi, who were the precursors of the Pueblos, and the Athabascans, who were precursors of the Navajos, who were here 1,200 years ago, building communities and building sacred spaces as well.
The Pueblos, ancient and modern, built special round ceremonial rooms called kivas. To show solidarity with older cultures around Santa Fe, United Church also built a kiva, used here for a special intercultural celebration of the earth.
When many of the churches out here were started in the 1870s or 1880s, oftentimes they were segregated. There was first congregational and second congregational, or first Presbyterian and second Presbyterian, and it doesn't take a lot of thinking to know which one was the Anglo church and which one was the Hispanic church. I think in the last 20 or 30 years, there's certainly been a desire to not do that. The sanctuary part of the building was built in 1983. It incorporates the elements of this part of the country, of earth, wind, fire, and water. So there is an acequia, which is a reminder of baptism, but also it's an irrigation ditch that gives life to the desert in this part of the world.
Water is always at a premium in New Mexico. The Tesuque River near Santa Fe irrigates crops on hundreds of small farms through an intricate network of hand-dug ditches. It's an example of the close human cooperation needed to survive here.
The experience of many of the pioneers who came out here was an area that had absolutely no limits, and that needed to be tamed, that needed to be conquered, that needed to be made into the garden. The experience, I think, at least as we try to live it out in the United Church of Santa Fe, is how do we live, in Christian terms, how do we live as stewards of creation? In Navajo terms, how do we live in harmony with creation? And that's something that I've learned from some of the cultures that are around me in this place.
Journeys of the Spirit, a program about the spiritual traditions of northern New Mexico, will continue after these messages.
We had Christian teaching, as children. But we also were taught or knew, some of our native teachings or religion. And currently, I'm back and forth. I'm like both.
Ella Natanaba Jones and her brother Robert Natanaba are Navajos.
We're inside that Hogan today.
Ella works with Talitha Arnold at United Church and has lived in Santa Fe for decades. But she and Robert remember when they lived in a traditional home on the huge Navajo reservation, a Hogan.
Families, live in it, we cook in it, we sleep in it. This was the home that the Navajo people, or the Diné people, erected when they emerged into the fourth world.
The Navajos, they emerged from the underworld. There's 4 layers of places that they had to come to. And as they come through different worlds, they met these different like birds and the animals that we see on Earth today.
I like to think that Mother Earth is there and we came from the womb.
And you're sitting on Mother Earth, and they say that the ceiling would represent the sky, and the walls would represent the mountains and the trees. That's why anytime you have a religious ceremony, that's where you have it done, in Hogan.
But the Hogans are largely ceremonial now. Most Navajos live in houses with water and TV. Like most Native Americans, they struggle to preserve their spiritual traditions while trying to survive in modern America.
We're just like everybody. We're hoping for a better world, a better place to live, and I just hope that someday through teaching of one another, culture, respecting one another, that might be the road to everybody's satisfaction of living on this what we call Mother Earth.
We consider this the complete set of symbols. All our large ones were... My religion really goes to how I do my pottery, because what we're really doing when we work with the clay is we're actually molding a creation.
Pottery making is an expression of Native American spirituality, and many Pueblo people are skilled at it. Merton Cisneros and his family, who market their work in the main square of Santa Fe, have made traditional black-on-black pottery in Santa Clara Pueblo for generations.
It reflects the actual physical belief that we have in the Indian religion is to nature, to the trees, to the land, the water, the air, the sky. The opening symbolizes life's eternal circle. And by having
Merton Cisneros lives in 2 worlds and says he's learned from his elders how to survive in both.
One has to believe in whatever one's doing to the point that they're very confident to really come across to people that this is what we want to do, this is what we're all about. And another one is to accept a point that, there are changes taking place, and we have to give a little on both sides. And another thing is a religion. We have to believe in something, because the thing is, no matter what religion we have, we all pray for the same wants, needs, and desires.
We believe God created everything, so everything has a sacred quality about it. But from the Native Americans, I learned about the sacredness of the land itself and of the trees and the environment, and I regard it all as part of this wonderful plan that God had in mind when He designed this whole thing and set it in motion. The people are essentially Hispanic, descendants from Spanish settlers, and the street right behind us is the Camino Real, where the Spanish conquerors came up from Mexico to discover this part of the New World.
Despite its history and natural splendor, New Mexico is a poor state, and many in Father Preto's parish feel the pinch.
Santa Fe basically is a tourist town that happens to have the state legislature and the governor's office. So if you're not involved in state politics, or tourism, there's nothing. So many of our people are forced to have 2 jobs. The kids come home to no one. It's a terrible situation.
They share economic hardship with millions of others across America. But here, a proud tradition and a kind of spiritual cement hold the community together.
I baptize you in the name of the Father.
I think it emanates from the people. They have taught me volumes about raw faith, a faith in God that is unquestioned.
We believe in one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church. We acknowledge one baptism for the forgiveness of sins.
I think I really primarily learned that from my mother. That prayer is part of your daily life, that you wake up in the morning and you pray, and you go to bed at night and you pray, and you get a phone call from somebody whose daughter is sick and you pray for them, or you light a candle for them, or you really incorporate the values of your religion into your day-to-day life.
Emily Lucero and her husband Jim Sanchez operate a business in their home so they can spend more time with son Santiago and Emily's nearby family.